Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks. So, jump on your shrimp boat, or rather dock your shrimp boat, have a seat, and let's revisit this Oscar-winning classic.
Hey everyone, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian, and we are talking about Forrest Gump. We rewatched this week and want to share our revisit with you.
Sure.
Yeah. Christina, this is Did you write it down?
I did. 1994.
1994. Do you recall the first time you saw Forrest Gump?
I think I was in the movies, actually. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the movies. Had a lot of hype, a lot of talk. Everyone was excited about it, and I'm pretty sure I was in a movie theater. I don't know who I was watching it with. And I remember liking it. I did enjoy the movie. I felt like it was very long. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was like 3 days long.
Okay, got it.
But it did leave... It was different. I remember being surprised at the special effects. Mm-hmm. And I remember leaving with a good feeling. Like, it was a pleasant movie. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen it since. It's not one of those movies I was like, oh, let's watch Forrest Gump.
Yeah. It's a commitment.
It's a big commitment. In fact, when we had decided to do this revisit, I had the movie for a long time. Yeah. And I kept thinking, oh, God, I don't know if I can do this right now. It was a 2.5-hour commitment.
It is.
So it was a struggle for me to even sit down and watch it because I knew I would have to be sitting there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian? What's your background?
Yeah, I was kind of nodding as you were talking because I agree. I mean, so I did see it in the movie theater. The thing is, I left like really loving it. I left on this like, wow, what a movie, you know? And I bought the soundtrack and I really liked it. And when it came out on VHS, I immediately rented it, and I remember being like, huh. This is a long movie, and it loses something, and I'm sorry to say this. I think it does lose something on TV. There's something when you're in it. I felt and I'm still talking about then, by the way, not now. But then when it came on VHS, I rented it with enthusiasm, and I remember being like, "Oh wow, this is boring." Mm-hmm. Like I was bored more than a few times. I think for some reason Sally Field bothered me the second time around. But this is all still then, and I remember being like, "Was I wrong? Like what happened?" But I think it's that thing, Forrest Gump. You have there's so many big moments and expansive moments, like even like the running and the war scenes and all that, where it just feels very cinematic. And when you are suddenly watching on a TV set, it does lose something. I think that as a 20-something-year-old person, I was like, oh, this movie suffers on a TV format.
Definitely. And remember now, when you're in a movie theater, you're forced to sit there. Yeah. Like, you can't go anywhere. So these long scenes, you need to stay focused on it. You need to pay attention. There's no checking your email. There's no getting up for a drink of water or anything. You really are sort of a captive audience.
You also, I think you're almost more wanting it to work because you also paid money,
of course, yes,
to sit in that seat. And have you ever walked out of a movie?
Have I ever walked out of a movie?
To walk out of a movie, I think, is a huge deal. I think I've done it twice in my life. I know the movies.
For some reason, I feel like I walked out on, what was that movie? I might not have walked out. I remember just not liking it, but it was with Kevin Kline. It was...
Don't say January Man.
No.
Oh.
No.
My friend Ben was just talking about that movie.
No, it was like... I'll have to look it up.
Not In and Out.
No, it was a drama. It was a really heavy...
Ice Storm?
The Ice Storm.
You walked out.
I think I might have walked out.
So I feel like, I wonder if we saw that together.
I kind of feel like we did too.
Because we would have had to go into Boston. That was an independent movie. But that was not a great movie.
No.
But I
remember seeing the cast and being like, oh my gosh.
But here's the thing. I walked out on a movie called Living Out Loud with Holly Hunter and
Queen
Danny.
Latifah?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that? I walked out.
I feel like I might have.
Like, something's off.
I wouldn't have paid money to see it.
I did. I was like, something's off. And then the other one was, I think it was called Last Stop. Damn it. It's with Hope Davis. It was an independent movie. It was all filmed in Boston. That's right.
Last Stop Wonderland.
Yeah.
Next Stop Wonderland. Oh, I actually liked that story.
Oh, I walked out because I was with Karen and she was not having an independent movie.
Yeah, I actually liked that, but that's one of those movies you have to watch to the end to appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really love it it was like slow during the movie, and then at the end I was like, okay, it kind of came together for me. But I could see people walking out on that. Sure.
So Forrest Gump. So are we ready to talk about now?
Yeah, let's talk about now.
So when did you see it? So you said you hadn't seen it in a long time.
I hadn't seen it in a long time because I just couldn't commit to that.
Same.
For sure. I watched it... when did I watch it? I watched it during the day one day. Oh, it was like last week. It was like, probably a week and a half ago. Yeah. And again, I was like, all right. Like, I was kind of dreading it.
Yeah.
Because of this. And of course, this time of year is like, there's a lot going on.
I know.
I'm like, all right, let's just sit down and watch this. So I put it on. And I will say I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
I will say, I think because I had this like dread of like this long, long movie coming ahead of me. From the beginning, I started really enjoying it. I forgot a lot about it, obviously, because it had been such a long time. Even just like the feather at the beginning, I'm like, oh, and the music came back, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna hate this movie, you know, like I'm gonna be okay with this. And you know, I mean, I remember him even at when I first started, like the beginning personality of his is kind of a lot to take at first. You're like, oh, am I gonna have 2.5 hours of this voice? But I got over it quicker enough. I appreciated the fact that, like, when he's sitting on the bench and the people next to him were, like, completely ignoring him at first. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's real. I kind of liked that. And I will say, like, I enjoyed it. I think there are quite a few scenes that could have been cut down. Quite a few storylines, if you will, that could have really been put down. But I will say the highlights for me were the supporting cast, were Gary Sinise and Robin Wright. Yeah. So that was basically my overall feeling. Why don't you...
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say, so, again, started off, it was like, it is a commitment. It really is. Like this, I mean, even with COVID, it's like there's a lot going on. And like I want to be fair to the movie too. I don't want to like watch it begrudgingly.
Well, of course, yeah.
And so, but I hadn't seen it in say 20 years. So it's like I'm popping in, laying on the sofa, and I'm like, oh, but. See, it's a little different for me. I feel like initially I was like, jeez. It started off a little rough for me because he talks about... So he's on the bench. It starts off, he's on the bench talking to a black woman. She's a nurse. And his first story is how his name came to be. And
I forgot about that.
But here's the thing.
Well, why would you tell that to a black woman?
Thank you. He was named after an ancestor who was part of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, he was like one of the leaders of
the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah. And he's telling the story to a black woman. Then, to the same black woman, he's telling the story of there was a quick like little scene with like they flash back to the past very quickly, where it's like. The black maid is... Oh,
that was Bubba's family, saying that they had a long history of shrimp.
Yeah.
and you see that, it's all these very affluent white women being served shrimp by...
Oh, but then there's something else. There's a one where the dining table is just one man. It's a slave owner sitting at the table, and they have 2 scenes of this where through the years, like that guy, there's a different guy sitting there, and like this black maid or black slave walking up and giving him food.
Oh, right. And you know what? I'm just remembering it wrong. It's after she gets the money and she becomes...
That's right.
Yeah.
So, that's when it flips.
I'm sorry.
But it's like, really, he's telling a black woman this, like, these stories about the Ku Klux Klan and slavery.
Do you think that was a testament? Like, do you think that was an intended situation because he is so dim-witted and he didn't understand any of what was really going on?
Fine. But I would have wanted to see her reaction.
Yes. That would have been
very little reaction. Also, if we are, like... There's something that is a little weird as the movie goes on with I almost said Ferris. Oh my god.
Oh,
Forrest.
My god. Let's not go there again.
With Forrest, because he's narrating, and yet many times it feels a little too literal or poetic for Forrest Gump.
Yes, it's not super consistent.
It doesn't even sound like conversation. For Forrest. It's just a little bit, it's a very nuanced thing. It's just something that I noticed. I also wrote down, in the beginning, it really lays it on thick. Like, he is getting rocks thrown at his face. Yeah. Okay? And Jenny has a child molester father. Mm-hmm. And that's... And there are things where I think there's like a weirdness with Forrest because of his tone and the timing where I'm like, I'm not sure if they're trying to get a laugh out of this. Like, he was like, her dad was always hugging and kissing them.
He was a real loving man.
Yeah. And I'm like, is that supposed to be funny? I
don't think it was supposed to be funny. I think it was really
to show Forrest
just to show his
disconnect.
I really think that's what it was. I certainly didn't find it funny.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, and here I am changing it, but, like, I wonder if, like, if we saw him getting ready to start his day, or to, like, talk to someone on the phone and then sit on the bench, like, because he just kind of plopped onto this bus stop with him, and you don't really know, and it's just a bit jarring. Mm-hmm. And even when, like, and then I also have down, because then it fast forwards pretty quick, and you have Jenny, who not only poses nude, she gets kicked out of kicked out of school. Kicked out of college. She gets a job stripping and singing, and then gets a drink thrown at her within like minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, did things have to be that bad for Jenny?
Well, I mean, I think it had to be that bad for Jenny, honestly. And I think that was I thought that was pretty realistic, to be honest. One thing I didn't find very realistic was that she went to college. I mean, how did she... Yeah. She didn't have any real guidance. She didn't have money. Yeah. That was one thing that was like, how did she even get to college? But besides that, I felt like her depiction was pretty realistic. I think someone that's grown up in an abusive relationship, a molestation, of course, they're going to value their self based on their sexuality. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be their currency that they're going to be using for like their whole life. That's just an assumption. Yeah. But it made sense to me that she would always fall into these abusive relationships, and she would be using her body to move ahead, to get money, to posing, and then even getting her gig. So she has to be naked playing the guitar. Yeah. That all made real sense to me. And I think that it also made sense that that's the only thing that really kept her attached to Forrest, too, because he was the only person in her life that wasn't really a threat, I guess. It made sense to me somehow.
Yeah. I found it very sad.
Oh, it's so sad. And super tragic. Yeah, absolutely. But think about it. If she didn't have that type of life, would she even give Forrest the time of day? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, they grew up together. Yeah. He is like this... Like, she is as ruined and damaged as it gets. Mm-hmm. He is the purest soul you can have. Do you know what I mean? So for me, somehow it worked.
Yeah. I found, so this time around, their love story, or their unrequited love story was I think the best thing in the movie.
Yeah, I liked that beforehand too, but
it felt very like they have amazing chemistry. We talked about Robin Wright on the Princess Bride episode. Like she can have chemistry with anyone.
She's so gorgeous and she's so talented.
Yeah, I think I'm jumping all around, but I think my second favorite thing was that war scene. I was really impressed. I thought the special effects, the music, the cinematography, that war. I'm not a war movie person.
No, me either.
And I thought it was done really, really well. And I think my TV now is bigger than it was when I watched this on VHS. So it's like you have this. I have the sound. I have the picture, and that still was so beautifully done, and I think that was had a real impact.
Yes,
I liked that a lot. I
didn't like it that much when I first saw it.
Yeah,
but I liked it better now.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like I've seen so many war movies, and it's like, this feels really close up and original. And even when he's talking about all the rain, and I'll be honest, I was a little oh god, he's talking about the 4 different kinds of rain, but it was shot very well.
It was.
Yeah, it was done very well. Yeah, so
even the bombing was a big surprise, right? Because it was it was the end of the rain.
Yeah, that's right.
And then all of a sudden, the
shots
bombs
and everything. Yeah,
I mean, it felt pretty real.
And there's that scene, that one shot where the guys are leaning on the hill, the two guys leaning on the hill, and they get hit with a thing, and they truly get blown away. It's it's wild.
Yeah, the effects were pretty. They actually won an Oscar for the effects.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The special effects, but I think for a variety of reasons. So we talked about Robin Wright. The other character that I really, really enjoyed was Gary Sinise, and back then and even now, I loved him even more. It was a really good character, and I loved his growth throughout the movie. It was a bit of a stretch that he would come seek out Forrest after the fact, because I just didn't buy that they were close enough that he would do that. And I understand a little bit that he had really nowhere else to go or whatever, but it still seemed a bit of a stretch that he would seek him out. But I liked that relationship a lot, and I think that especially after he lost his legs, he could find a little bit more relatability to Forrest in terms of, being an outcast. And
well, he even says, do you know what it's like to not be able to use your legs? And he's like, yeah. Yeah,
oh my god, was that the funniest fucking thing, right? He's like, yeah, Lieutenant Dan, I do.
But again, the special effects on the legs are amazing.
I remember looking it up after the movie. I'm like, did he really lose his legs? What the hell?
Well, I was just how they did that. I think they had the green screen wrappings on his legs. I remember.
They did.
I forget who did you couldn't even look this shit up after back in '94.
No.
But to a degree. But I feel like Entertainment Tonight or one of those shows did a behind the scenes of it.
You can actually look it up. You can actually see some, because I did look up a little bit of it. In the edition that I got from the library, they actually have a whole documentary about the special effects. I have not watched it, but I'm not returning it until I do, because I am interested in watching that. But one of the things that I did learn was they did do the green screen wrappings on the bottoms of his legs, and so they shot a lot of the scenes like that. But then also what they did after the fact is they moved furniture back into the scene digitally, so it didn't look like there was always all this space around him.
Yeah.
It really was effective.
Yeah.
I was I was not convinced that Gary Sinise did not lose his legs.
And not crazy about I don't know if they were prostitutes or just party girls.
Oh, I never liked them. They were just ridiculous.
Well, also because
characteristic,
right.
Stereotypes.
Stereotypes. Yeah. But I didn't like Forrest throwing her on the floor,
that
and
was
then
weird.
Him throwing the girl on the bed, off of the wheelchair. They were both. It was both done in anger.
Right.
Don't call him. I don't know if she said. What did she? I don't remember.
She called him stupid.
And he said, "Don't call him stupid." Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was oh God, just another woman being mishandled in this movie. And like,
yeah, and it was it was more characteristic of Gary Sinise's character because he's drunk and angry at the world and blah, blah, blah. But for Forrest to do that didn't seem right.
Let's see. Things that worked. I loved the shrimp types like that.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
So funny. Run, Forrest, run. You know, it's that thing where it's like that quote, "Run, Forrest, run" is like, you know, we say it and people still say that line. Yep. And like anytime you see someone running, you yell, "Run, Forrest." You
totally do. At least we do. I don't know about you guys.
But you realize why it's so iconic.
Yes.
That scene is amazing.
That is an amazing scene.
It still holds up. It holds up.
And that little girl who plays Jenny as a child, one of the most adorable children I've ever seen in my life. What a cute little girl. Mm-hmm. Cute little actress. But yeah, the Run, Forrest, Run. Bubba Gump. So Bubba was surprising to me this time around. He was not in that movie for very long. I thought he was in it for a lot longer.
I forgot he died.
Oh my God.
I thought he opened... oh my God, it's so stupid. Because it's a restaurant now.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, do Forrest and... Oh my God, what was the character's name? Bubba. Like, did they open a restaurant? Or they... And I know... Because I remember the boat. I remember the boat for sure. Because I remember Forrest waving that shot. But, and I also remember when he sees Captain... That's so funny. Captain Dan.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Captain Dan or Sergeant Dan?
Lieutenant
Dan. And then he's like... Hey! And he just jumps.
He just
jumps off the boat.
And the boat and the boat just keeps going. Yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah. I wrote down. I gotta find Bubba. I loved that friendship, but it's same thing, Christina. How memory tricks you. Like, I thought Bubba was in this movie a lot more than he was.
I was shocked. He was only in like a couple of
scenes. But again, a super memorable character. I think that's like a testament to that performance and that character because like, I really thought he was in it a lot more.
Definitely. And I liked how that scene worked. I mean, the whole movie is basically him being lucky. I mean, that's in the right place at the right time, just dumb luck.
Yeah.
But I felt like it worked, especially in that scene, like you were talking about with the war scene.
Yeah.
He's not going in there to save people. He's just going to find his friend. He just happens to be tripping over people and like, all right, fine, I'll move him out and okay, I'll get him. Didn't even think of what he was doing. He just wanted to find his friend. And he's trying to do the right thing.
He's just like finding the wrong people, but like bringing them back anyway.
Right, and he's not realizing it. He's just like, oh, let me just move you on this.
I got a little misty when, and it didn't happen way back when, but it would hit me different when Forrest tells Jenny he's going to Vietnam. And the look on her face, and just like that the difference of their intellect and what that means to Jenny and what that means to Forrest are very different things. And and that really, as a grown up, it definitely hit me like in a very touching, like sad way.
Yeah.
You know? Similarly, when she leaves on the bus and Forrest gives her his Medal of Honor, that was very sweet.
Very
because
sweet.
It's also like ill-fated. Like, you know, it's like, oh God, you know, you're not going to see her again for a number of years.
Right.
And I completely forgot, still on the Jenny Vietnam thing, when he is at the rally and she like goes running into the reflective.
That is one of that's probably my favorite scene back then and now.
I totally forgot about that.
That was probably my favorite scene in that whole movie when he's singing. And I love that they unplugged him so they have no idea what he's saying, right? That whole thing. And then it's all quiet. And then you hear her voice. And, I mean, goosebumps. Yeah. Like, real goosebumps.
And it doesn't feel forced either. Because it makes sense. It makes sense because she's protesting. Yeah. It makes sense because he is a, Medal of Honor, hero. And it makes sense that they're both in these places for different reasons.
Oh my God, that hug, that genuine running to each other hug when they first hug. Oh my God, I'm getting a tear in my eye right now thinking about it. Such a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And just on that same track, when he gives her the medal, and she goes back to the guy who hit her.
Yeah.
And she goes on the bus, and they have that nice little smile. Yeah. And then he's behind her, and he gives him the scowl. That made me laugh. Yeah. That definitely made me laugh.
I liked him defending Jenny. I thought that was something where it was a nice balance where, like, a couple times I was like, you kind of... It's a little bit of humor, because that is his like crazy reaction.
Yes.
But like watching Robin Wright get hit and stuff, it's like, oh my god.
It was a lot,
Yeah.
but that just.
But you're right. I mean, it rings true.
It needed to happen, and I really felt it was the path that I would expect her to take that path.
So you just said that. So Roger Ebert, I remember him saying this years ago when he said that this like idea that Forrest Gump is like this review of America over the decades, and then he's like Forrest takes the high road and Jenny takes the low road. Mm-hmm. So you see two very different Americas through their experience, and which made me sort of like watching it now. It's like I kind of wish we spent a little bit more time with Jenny, but then I'm like, would that have just been depressing?
I think there was enough, but it left you wanting more. Mm-hmm. But I do think if there was a little bit more, it wouldn't have been as effective. Mm-hmm. Because she is just a supporting role in his life. Mm-hmm. It's a very important role, obviously. Mm-hmm. The one constant in his whole life. Yeah. And her to him, the one constant. And they always they always find each other. But I do feel like if she was in it much more, it would have been different. Yeah.
Because they show her doing drugs and, And
again, I feel like that would all make sense, I mean, the abusive relationships make a lot of sense. Yeah. Turning to alcohol, dulling the pain, the drugs, obviously suicidal her whole life.
Yeah,
wanting to
climbing on the balcony.
That scene is so pivotal. That was like... amazing. And that scene affected me a lot more this time around with her standing up. I knew it was coming. And of course it had an effect on me last time too. But to me, it felt so much more real. Like, this is the moment that she gets woken up. This is when she realizes she needs to clean up her act. Mm-hmm. And because thinking about it before, it felt a little bit weird. Like, all of a sudden she's cleaned. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden she's like respectable or whatever. This time around, I'm like, oh, that's the moment that she realizes, oh shit, I don't want to die. Mm-hmm. I need to clean my shit up.
Yeah, I actually forgot about the balcony scene. To be honest, I remember the drugs. I remember most of her journey. There's one part though where I actually spoke out loud to the TV.
Oh no!
Because he's telling her these stories, and she's like, I wish I could have been there with you. And I'm like, you could have, bitch! Like, he begged you at every turn! Every turn! Don't go away! Live with me! Stay with me! Like, love me! Or he's like, it's like, I'm not a bright man, but I know what love is. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not a smart man, whatever. But it's like, she, you just, to your point though, Christina, it's like, she was just chasing after something. Yeah. And I understand, like, that need of, like, she went through hell and she wanted to get away from that town. And then when she does go back, she's just like, and that hit me, like, then and now. It's like, I think it's a great scene where she's throwing, just the way that scene is shot, too. It's like she's throwing rocks at the old house.
That was great. I forgot about it.
I remember that scene. And because she's so good in it, and it's shot very wide, and like she's just, I mean, it's just really like a moment. Because you're right, so you can tell it's like on her every day.
Yes. Yeah. One thing I thought was funny, speaking about that house, is after she dies, he's talking to her grave, and she's, he said, "Oh, I had the town bulldoze your old house." Yeah. Why did he wait? Why didn't he just do it before she died?
Oh, I think he learned when he saw... I think it connected when she was throwing rocks at the house.
Right, so why didn't he just do it then?
Oh.
He was a gazillionaire.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, why'd you wait?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
It's not like she was living there.
So I'm going to go negative a little bit.
Sure.
That speech at the grave, when Forrest is talking... I think that's another one of those moments where I'm like, Forrest is... like... Two issues. One, I think if we look at the transcript of that speech, I don't know if Forrest could really have melded that stream, that way of thinking. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very structured and it's very nice. I don't know if we have not, up to that point, we've not really seen Forrest formulate conversations that way or speeches that way, or even like even the narration. There's some times where I'm like, that's not Forrest probably wouldn't say it that way. But my bigger issue with that scene is it is full on Tom Hanks. There are moments where like he just slips out of character in that speech, in that at the grave. It reminded me of Devil Wears Prada when Meryl Streep. It's like she's this evil bitch the whole movie, and there's that scene where she's talking, and you know I'm talking about, Anne Hathaway at the fireplace, and she has her glasses on, and she's like, "But it's the children," and it's like pure Meryl. That is pure Hanks. There's a couple of scenes where he like his voice cracks, he loses the Forrest Gump accent. And I was like, oh, it sucks. It's like I feel like it could have been 15 seconds shorter and it would have been better. Yes,
I agree. I liked the scene. I did like the scene.
It was important.
And it touched me.
Yeah.
And I liked what he had to say about his child and how he did get a little bit broken up about him being so smart. But I agree. It was a little bit too long. It was a little bit too, this is what I'm submitting for my Oscar nomination.
1,000%.
Like, it was just too much like that. But I liked the scene, and it did move me a little bit more even now than it did. I had hoped, and I don't know where she was buried. Obviously, it was by their tree. Was it like in their backyard? Like I was kind of hoping that it was like in their backyard or something.
I thought I agree. The burial spot was like, okay, if that's a place.
They're supposed to be their tree.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's like, is there any other grave nearby? And can you just do that? You just bury a body there?
Remember, he was like a millionaire.
Yeah.
He had a lot of money, so he could do it.
Yeah.
But, I thought it was kind of funny.
Let's see. Do we think Jenny was a bit wrong to not tell Forrest she had a baby and that the baby was his?
Yeah, I had a problem with this before. Yeah. I remembered. I'm conflicted. I kind of understand why she didn't, but it was more of a selfish thing.
Yeah.
I think she was trying to just establish her life on her own.
Yeah.
And
if she had gone
know
to him,
that she could do it and not rely on him. Exactly. Yeah. I think it was more of like that selfish thing. And then when she found out she was sick, she's like, well, obviously he needs to do this. I'm not sure I would trust him to raise my child. I don't know if he had that same common sense. Like, I just feel like I wouldn't, if I was her and had a child with him, I don't know if I'd be like, oh, here, raise this child. I mean, a child is a lot of responsibility, and I'm not sure that he has that same common sense about it. But
maybe that's another reason. Maybe that's why she waited to sort of raise her child to be a little more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And then, because he's super smart, like you find out that the kid is smart and pretty, with it.
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. There was something else that you said, and I was like, oh, I should comment on that. Oh yeah, and I remember. I misremembered it. I knew she had died of AIDS. I knew that when she says, "Oh, it's a virus," and that I forgot that she told him like the playground on a bench. Weren't they like? What was the kid doing, or was he fishing or something? But it was like weird. It was such a weird.
I don't remember.
Out of the blue,
I thought they were just walking.
They were sitting on a bench, and she turns to me. She's like, "I'm sick, Forrest." I'm like, well, that's a bit blunt.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the kid was like maybe 15 feet away.
He was. That's right. It was a playground because he was playing like in the sand or something. Yeah.
I was like, that's a bit abrupt. You're not going to ease him into this, I guess.
Well, I guess you'd have to be with him.
That's true. Christina, right again.
Thank you, Brian. It's been a while. It's been a while since you've said that. I've been waiting.
Every once in a while. Let's see.
So, yeah, and I just, like I said before, it's the supporting characters that I really, really enjoyed in this. Robin Wright, obviously, fantastic. Mm-hmm. And Gary Sinise, I thought was just phenomenal in his growth. And it just, when I think about Forrest Gump, I think about the relationship between the two of them more than anything. Well, and with him and Jenny.
Yeah.
But, like, I just really enjoyed watching his growth and him becoming the captain, the whatever, first man or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's a little off it doesn't really coincide with his personality or whatever, but I enjoyed that so much, that relationship, and his acting. I thought he was really good in this.
Mm-hmm. Gary Sinise.
Gary Sinise. And the fact that he came to the wedding and he was
engaged.
Walking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and cleaned up, and just... That's the kind of feeling that I like when I think about that movie. I'm like, that's why it feels good, because of that Gary Sinise character. It impacted me a lot, and I didn't want to go through this episode without really expressing that. Yeah.
I remembered, he reminds me, Lieutenant Dan, of a character on The Simpsons, and I actually even wonder if there's this, I don't remember what the character's name is. I haven't watched The Simpsons in so long. But, he's like... There's a scene in The Simpsons where they're making water balloons. And they show the guy... And he's like this... He's a war veteran.
Yeah.
And he runs the shop. And, the kids are showing him the balloons. He's like, what do you think of the balloons? And he's like... And the balloons said, happy birthday. And he's like, well, I'd rather they say death from above. But... but it's left to you. But he's very, Lieutenant Dan.
Yes.
So... crotchety and but angry and frustrated, and you feel it.
Yes.
And it's done very well without being too showy, without being too, I want an Oscar, everybody. I want an Oscar. Right.
One thing that I did find was very ironic.
Yeah.
When they first meet Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
And he's giving them the ropes. He's like, you have 2 rules. The first rule, take care of your feet.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second one is to stay alive.
Yeah. Or
don't get killed. Yeah. I thought that was ironic. I'm like, ooh, he didn't really take care of his feet.
Okay, so wait. So we both talked about in the beginning that it's a long movie.
Yes.
Christina, make it shorter. What did we get rid of?
Get rid of ping pong.
Oh, you didn't miss a beat on that.
Yeah. No, I've been thinking about it because it's it is such a freaking long movie.
Yeah.
The ping pong... See, the ping pong sequence, you could put a little bit in there.
Yeah.
But it went on for a long time. He was doing ping pong for a long time.
Yeah.
Enough already. Shorten that 100%. There was, and also the running. The running to me went on so long. And I had some issues with the running anyway. One of the things I thought was kind of interesting is a very successful businessman now. He owned the shrimping business. He invested in Apple. Remember?
Yeah.
He's obvious. He was on Fortune magazine.
Right.
He's a well-known millionaire.
Yeah.
He starts to run, and no one knows who he is. No one puts that together.
I know, that was weird.
That's like Warren Buffett deciding to run, and everyone would be like, "Look at this man!
A man has decided.
He's decided to run."
Yeah.
So that was weird to me.
Yeah.
That they did that. But I just felt like it was so long. That whole sequence was long.
And strange. And he was like, I'm tired. I'm going to go home now. It was just weird. And I was like, is this just to show different parts of our country? So my thing was, I'm telling you, I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. This movie seems a little bit preoccupied with presidents and assassination attempts. And I get it's like history repeating itself.
Yes.
I get it.
But you didn't have to do it 4 times.
You also don't have to do it in Forrest Gump.
Right.
It's a weird...
He could have done it once or twice.
It's a weird matchup. It's like, I don't know why Forrest Gump needs to be the catalyst to talk about presidential assassinations, attempts, and otherwise. That could have been cut out.
Definitely.
You wouldn't have missed a lick. The Watergate thing... With Nixon,
that was so
my
stupid.
God.
So stupid. That could have been, It's almost like they're like, oh, well, so what happened now? We haven't had something where he's affected, where he affects history in a long time.
That's to me, right. And to me, that's a different movie. You can make that movie. This is not the Forrest Gump movie. I mean, I think it's it was just, I don't know.
Well, the other thing, too, is I know that they really wanted to incorporate him into actual footage.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. I get
it. And
I
think it still looks
good. They did it really well.
Yeah.
Definitely really, really well. But I think they did it too many times.
Yeah.
I think they did it a few too many times. They could have done it once or twice, and it would have been just as effective. The fascination with the presidents, he went and visited the White House twice. they didn't have to show the actual footage both times.
Yeah.
I think they could have done it one time. It would have been fine.
Because it's weird. It just doesn't, like... It's a weird... Like, I don't know if I want to see presidents getting... I mean, they didn't show Kennedy getting shot, but the attempts, when the president didn't die in them, they did show that footage.
Yes.
And so... But it's just... I don't know. It seemed, like, misplaced.
It did. It was... Yeah, they just did it because they wanted to do that technique.
Yeah. But Forrest Gump wasn't at the
you're right.
Reagan thing. But then, like, and there were other things, like when the black woman drops her book.
Yes.
And he runs up to give it back to her. Like, I was like, okay, like, I allow that.
I liked that moment. I did. I liked that moment.
Right.
But you didn't have to see him on TV in the background.
Nope.
There was no need for that.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of that. Just help her with the book.
That's right.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just weird because also it doesn't go anywhere.
Right,
like,
it doesn't add anything to the story.
Thanks for that footage. Like, I don't know, just weird.
Yeah, it didn't add anything to the story. You know, I feel like it was almost like a disconnect because a lot of the other stuff that he did was really he went from A to B because of luck. Like, he succeeded in this because of luck or because of just being pure-hearted or just common sense almost. Yeah. Like with the Forrest run thing, right? With the Jenny said, don't be a hero, just run. So that's what he did. Yeah. Of course, he was trying to get his friend. He went back and forth, but that's the reason why he survived is because he ran. He followed instructions, basically.
Well, even when he graduated, it was like he meets it's very quick, the army recruiter. Yes. And it's like, son, you should join the army. He's like, okay. Like, and there's something that's very cute about that. But he just, like, honestly, he just does what he's told. And he has all of these, amazing life experiences. And then Jenny, who just, she opposes the war. She, opposes the norm, does the opposite. And her life is a train wreck. It's like, okay, it's an interesting message there. But I don't know. Did you... do you have any... Before I cut you off, do you have any... other things?
Let's take a break real quick.
Break.
When we take a break, I'm going to look at my notes. I don't know if I have anything else, but we'll take a break and we'll sum up and do some questions.
Cool.
Sound good? Yeah. All right. We'll be right back.
Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back talking about Forrest Gump, 1994. Did you like it? So, we both approached it begrudgingly. How do you like it more? About the same? Less?
I liked it more.
Awesome.
I think I liked it more. You know what? I think I probably liked it about the same, but I think my memory of what I liked was lower than what I liked. Does that make any sense?
Completely. Because that's my answer, too.
Yeah. I liked it, I think, as much, but I surprisingly liked it as much.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a commitment. It is a long movie.
Huge commitment.
But the things, it's funny, the things I liked this time around were different than what I used to like back then.
Oh, totally, yeah. And I paid more attention, of course, to, like, supporting and things like that. You mentioned Sally Field. Yeah. Again, not great.
No, she's not great in this.
And I'll tell you,
she's just fine.
She looks like a person who's dressed up to be an old person. Like, the makeup on her, like, they really didn't spare. It didn't have any money involved in her makeup at all. And what's funny, and I think, I don't know, it's been mentioned before, but there was like a kind of a controversy with her being cast as his mother.
Yeah.
Because she had been cast as his love interest.
Yeah, in Punchline. Yeah.
So it was like, it's kind of like a weird...
She also didn't have like, I don't know, I wish she was more compelling. Like, she had a couple of like little quotes.
She just had, she was very minor.
It was such a minor. I remember her being more important the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
I would also recommend, tell people, if you're going to revisit Forrest Gump, definitely watch it on the biggest screen you can find.
Yeah,
It
just
does
be committed
something.
to
Don't
it.
watch it on your phone.
Be committed
Don't
to
watch it on a plane. It really will lose something.
I did have two more things that I have a note that I thought was really funny. One was, to your point, well, I guess we were both talking about how he just did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
When he's in the army, when he first shows up, and I don't know who he is, yelling at him, the drill sergeant, yelling at him. He's like, "What? Why are you here? What are you supposed to do here?" or something like that. And his answer was, "To do whatever it is you tell me to do, sir." And he's like, "That is the most brilliant answer." Because he's just saying.
Well,
and that's really what it is you have to do.
I'm ashamed to admit that I laughed when he said, with the ping pong, he's like, "Never take your eye off the ball."
Oh,
and he just stared at it. I don't know why. I just found that funny. I think,
I noticed that too. Yeah. It's a funny thing. And again, he's just being told what to do, and he's doing it, and then he ends up doing it. And the one other thing I wrote down, when he's on his run, two things that, these could have been chopped off. Now I felt like they were just like throwing things in.
Christina, I know what you're going to say completely. The t-shirt.
Things. Yeah. The t-shirt, the Have a Nice Day t-shirt, right? When he's like, "Oh, I need a t-shirt idea," and he wipes his face. Yeah. And the mud comes out as a smiley face. Yeah. Stupid. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was the shit happens. Again, like they're just throwing things in.
Unnecessary.
Like, it was unnecessary, and it took away from it.
It's just weird. It's like, that's really a stretch, and it's like, okay, Forrest Gump is just responsible for so many things, and it's I struggle with those moments. Again, it's a different movie. Yeah. Are you trying to show like America through the decades and like the fads of the time, or are you trying to tell like this complicated sort of unrequited love story of a man with special needs who is really just does what he's told, and this woman who's had a rough life who... because those are two different movies, and they're trying to make one. I read this thing that Robert Zemekis, I guess, and the writer of the book, wanted it to be like they were first envisioning that maybe like Lieutenant Dan would have a cloud over his head, and that Jenny would have angel wings in Forrest's eyes. And that it's going to be very it's going to be much more conceptual. So Forrest would see people as they are, or as he sees them rather. And they decided to pull that. I think originally they were considering John Goodman for Forrest Gump. They wanted him to be like very, very tall and imposing, but be very gentle.
He might have been okay. He might have been okay in that role.
When you hear that and you understand like Tom Hanks' voice, it's like, oh, I can kind of see a John Goodman thing.
Well, it's interesting, but I mean, it would have been different because he really sees the good in everybody.
Yeah. That's true too.
It would be weird for him to see the bad in someone, except for the guy who hit Jenny.
Yeah, true. Questions. Oh, is that everything? That's everything.
I think that's everything.
Yeah. I mean, for such a long movie, it's maybe one of our shortest episodes.
I know, right? It's so bizarre. Yeah. Very little notes. I have an FMK.
Okay. Oh my god, thanks.
You're very welcome. It's actually going to be an easy one, I can tell you right now. I don't even have to, I probably shouldn't. You probably guessed, I mean, there's basically 3 men in the movie. So, FMK. Forrest, Lieutenant Dan, and Bubba.
Oh my.
It's not much to think about, I don't think.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my god. Okay.
I guess it was harder than I thought.
It is.
What are you struggling with, Mary?
Kill. I don't want to kill any of them.
Oh, that was not that difficult for me.
Okay. Okay, ready? F, Lieutenant Dan.
Of course.
Marry Forrest and kill Bubba.
Of course. So what else could you do?
I hate, but I thought of killing poor Bubba.
Yeah, well, it worked out for him eventually.
Yeah. So, okay, so my question for you. Okay. It's a true match game question.
Okay, cool.
Lieutenant Dan is so mean.
How mean is he?
For Halloween, he goes as blank.
Oh. I don't know. I have a really stupid answer.
Okay.
Ding.
Ding. Lieutenant Dan is so mean.
How mean is he?
Thanks for asking. For Halloween, he goes as blank.
The devil? I know.
See, I was wondering where you're going to go with it, because it's like he's in a wheelchair, he doesn't have legs, and all this kind of stuff. But he's also, he's so mean.
I thought of that after the fact, the wheelchair part of it, yeah.
But I wrote, he goes as himself.
Oh my god!
Because he's so mean and miserable.
That's great. That's a good answer. That's a great answer.
And that does it for Forrest Gump.
That's it.
And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or a review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.